Biden's betrayal, not only to our own country, but to our allies. And that's where we begin tonight. Biden officials refusing to commit U.S. troops that they will remain in Afghanistan until all Americans are evacuated. Joining me now is retired U.S. Army Brigadier General and author of Chasing the Lion, Tony Tata. Also here with me, former DHS Acting Deputy Secretary Ken Cuccinelli. Gentlemen, welcome to you both. Ken, we knew a withdrawal from Afghanistan was going to be inevitable, but it didn't have to be the horror show we're seeing now.
No, absolutely not. It was, look, the mistake we made was shifting from small unit support that we succeeded spectacularly with in the first 3 months to trying to federalize Afghanistan with a big war and conquer it. Nobody in 3,000 years has done that. We shouldn't have expected to. You're right, Chris. This was going to be an outcome at some point, but you don't pull your security forces out before your civilians and all of whatever processing decisions you're going to make, like the whole refugee question. Who are we going to allow to come? Who aren't we going to allow to come? You don't decide those sitting at an airport under fire. That's a terrible arrangement, and Joe Biden brought that to us and to the world, and it was a tragic way to close this out.
General, during his remarks yesterday, Joe Biden blamed everybody else except for himself. Biden even claimed that he kept Trump's Afghanistan withdrawal plan. Now, General, you tell us, are we watching the Trump plan unfold, or are Biden's millennials writing his speeches? Are they lying to us again?
In no way, shape, or form is this the Trump plan. The Trump plan included conditions-based withdrawal with heavy doses of deterrence involved, and timelines that didn't have us leaving during the peak fighting season, which is the summer and spring and fall. And we drew down about 2,500 soldiers last winter. And this is a colossal failure for President Biden and his team. And, you know, there's one common denominator from an intelligence standpoint. The name Avril Haines should mean something to people and should be explored more, because back when Obama made his junior varsity comment, she was the deputy director of the CIA, an inexperienced intelligence person that had a couple of years at the CIA, and now she's the director of national intelligence, and she botched the intelligence again for this. And so there's a lot of parallel between what happened with the ISIS and now what's happening with the Taliban, and the terrorism that could spawn from those two mistakes. Hopefully will not be parallel, but my concerns are that they will be.
Yeah. A couple of things about Haines. She also knows the identity of the person who unmasked a very popular media personality in our country, and about Biden's claim that he ditched every other Trump policy except for the Afghanistan policy.
Right.
It doesn't pass the smell test. Yeah. Just last month, Biden claimed that there would be no circumstance where you'd see people lifted off of rooftops, the embassy rooftops, and from the United States there in Afghanistan. Yet here we are, reliving the fall of Saigon. Ken, how irresponsible has the Biden administration been with not only American lives, but the lives of our allies?
Yeah, this is just about a 10 on the 1 to 10 scale of irresponsibility. And look, there was a way to avoid the Saigon-like, and frankly, worse than Saigon-looking withdrawal, and that was simply to do all of the wrap-up business that we might in Afghanistan before drawing down the level of security to a point where we had to rely on folks who, over time, have often been co-opted by the Taliban. This was a surprise. I agree with Tony, as I usually do. This was an incredible intelligence failure, but it starts at the top with Joe Biden. He's got an awful lot of experience, but time dealing with an issue doesn't help make you right, apparently, if you're Joe Biden. This is one more mistake, and it's the biggest of his career as it relates to Afghanistan.
General, most of the media is being actually surprisingly honest about this debacle. But over on MSNBS, two of their anchors / reporters decided they'd whitewash what was really going on to defend Biden, the indefensible, really. A guy by the name of Matt Zeller was one of their guests. Here's a guy that runs an organization, Leave No One Behind. He's also an Army veteran. Here were his remarks after he watched Biden's speech. Listen.
So I'm curious to hear your reaction of this consequential speech by the American president. Didn't run from it. He owned it. He owned his decision. He owned the fact that, as he put it, the buck stops with him.
I hope he gets to own their deaths, too. I feel like I watched a different speech than the rest of you guys. I was appalled. There was such a profound, bold-faced lie in that speech. The idea that we planned for every contingency. I have been personally trying to tell this administration since it took office. I've been trying to tell our government for years that this was coming. We sent them plan after plan on how to evacuate these people. Nobody listened to us.
General, this sloppy withdrawal aside, not only is it America's worst foreign policy debacle since Vietnam, but in addition, we left behind equipment, weapons. Effectively, we armed Taliban terrorists with our weaponry, with our equipment. Why didn't the administration listen to that gentleman right there and his generals and his colleagues?
Well, there's a lot of things to unpack here, Chris. The media helped create this. They put fair winds and fallen seas behind Biden and Harris coming in, no vetting. They were operatives to get them elected and block President Trump. And when you have that, if you're Biden or Harris or whomever, you can do whatever you want because you're not going to be held accountable. You're not going to be criticized. And so now for the media to be somewhat tough on Biden, I think it's a little bit disingenuous because we'll see about a month from now if they're still holding him or if they're trying to help him change the narrative back. And with respect to the execution of the plan, again, I agree with what Ken said. There was no reason for closing down Bagram Airfield, Kandahar Airfield before you could have collapsed from nationwide to regional down to tactical levels, and then you could have closed each of those airfields and then had one. It would have been like Mel Gibson in that movie, We Were Soldiers, where the last person off the ground could have been Scotty Miller or the ambassador, and they step onto the C-17 as it's getting ready to roll down the runway. But they didn't have that. It's more like a free-for-all, and it's utter chaos right now because of bad planning, bad guidance, and bad policy.
Yeah, and I believe it's because this country is being run by a bunch of children. As the world watches the United States' spectacular failure under Biden and his administration, this whole Afghanistan debacle, our allies are asking themselves, can we actually trust the United States? Will they treat us in our hour of need like they're treating the Afghan folks? China, Russia, they're smirking. They're talking to all of our enemies and allies. Because of Biden, and Leon Panetta actually said it, he put our credibility in question, did he not?
He absolutely did. But look, this is fixable from a national standpoint, and I don't mean the immediate situation. But I'm going to go back again, Chris, to where we were tremendously successful in Afghanistan when we had Green Berets working with CIA operatives and the U.S. Air Force, applying military power from the United States in an incredible, efficient, and successful way in October, November, December, and into of 2001 and into 2002. It was that those military relationships should have morphed into military governmental relationships at a relatively small scale, and we'd have never had anything like the commitment that we're trying to now extract ourselves from with such, frankly, incapable personnel in leadership with the president and his politicized Department of Defense now, as well as the just raw size and number of people involved. We went down the wrong path 18 years ago, and we're paying the price today.
General, last question I have for you, because as this irresponsible pullout, one of the net effects of this is going to be that Afghanistan is back in the terrorism business. And fairly soon, the terrorist Taliban with their al-Qaeda brethren will be exporting terrorism once again. And in the meantime, back here in the homeland, Mr. Biden has made sure that our border is not secure. It's wide open. We can't stop drugs, we can't stop arms, we can't stop people from coming in. General, how concerned are you that America will suffer a terrorist attack because Biden has made it more likely by his actions in Afghanistan?
Well, certainly we're at far greater risk today than we were 6 months ago. There's no question about that. I don't think the American people would dispute that. And President Biden's actions really have wanton disregard for national security, for Americans, for American property. There's really, it's inexplicable what he has chosen to do. And as we move further down the road here, what we're going to see is the Taliban exploiting our equipment, selling it to Iran and China so that they can figure out the Scan Eagle drones, the Black Hawk helicopters, the Hip Hind helicopters. All of that stuff is going to be sold, exploited, and used against us as they begin to get back into the terror business and protect Al-Qaeda and other terrorist groups.
Yeah, sadly, we might see those weapons again. And our people may be on the business end of those weapons. Ken Cuccinelli and Brigadier General Anthony Tata. Gentlemen, thank you for your time and the service to the country.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.